Hey everybody, welcome to Truth Be Told. Yeah, no,
So
I am like
interesting.
sometimes I'm like starved for it. I'm just like, please, like sit near me or okay.
Well, no. Welcome, everyone. Episode 5 of Reacting to Truth, where we butcher quotes, pose as philosophers. But most importantly, we've got a great show today. Honored to have on the pod our first guest, the one and only Mr. Micah Gunn.
It couldn't be anybody else. How could it be anybody else? Bradley Bean, Bornhorst. How could we get any other guest besides the one and only man that we have been reacting to? It felt like he's been in the room with us.
Yeah.
When we're talking.
We got yelled at when he wasn't the subject matter of discussion. I think our one episode.
Yeah.
So,
we lost a lot of fans when he wasn't the subject.
We course corrected pretty quick.
We forgive them what they want. More Micah. And this time live.
You know, would it be too much to say that he's...
Go. I want to hear.
Is it too much to say that he might possibly be the next C.S. Lewis of our generation?
End the podcast.
We love Micah. We're so excited that he's here.
I'm not over exaggerating, awesome. Brad. That's got to be heresy in some circles. I think Micah would.
It's quite possible.
No, we love Micah. We're excited to have him on. So when we get him on, let's remember. I'm trying to remember all the credentials that he has. This is Micah Gunn. He's the the host of Truth Be Told podcast, and he's Magnified. Yeah. He's written several albums that we're going to see if he notices on Brad's wall. Unless is back there. Is that other album his as well?
No, that is a Switchfoot album. Although,
okay.
Hang on. Give me a sec here. He will. I think he'll appreciate this. If I'm not mistaken, this may be the OG album. I could be wrong, but I think that's the first album.
He looks. He looks really young. He looks like
he does look young, like almost not old enough to be making music. But
that's like Testament of Light days. Micah, that's a shout out. Do you remember Testament of Light?
Whoa, I think I do. I don't know though. That sounds so familiar. But
that is a call back.
Yeah.
Anyways, we got Micah on live today. We're excited to talk to him. We're just about to start it up. So this is our first live interview. Please be graceful to us. And Micah's he is C.S. Lewis compared to us in doing these things. So
for sure.
So we're excited, and we're going to get him on right now.
Oh, yeah, I do kind of hear it, yeah.
It's like All right, and a big shout out to our new intro music, and outro. Sup Gamble, hashtag Sup Gamble.
Yo.
Jake Bornhorst for the vibes that he's given us in the beginning.
Dropping
we love him.
Beats.
Yeah, we're dancing. That's why we're dancing on the intro. So thank you, Jake Bornhorst. We appreciate it.
Dude, first, thanks for doing this. This will be fun.
No, I'm excited about it. It'll be cool.
Thanks for humoring us. We just said off camera before, well, on camera, actually. You'll find about it later. Yeah. You might be the C.S. Lewis of our generation, so you have big expectations.
Full disclosure, I didn't stamp that with Brad. That was Brad.
I wouldn't have wore you either.
I wore that.
We're just going to log out now. Just going to silently back up.
I mimed shutting my laptop and burning you at the stake at the same time.
It's all right, because later he flashed some gang signs. And so.
I did flash gang signs, incidentally. So, welcome to Reacting to Truth, Micah Gunn.
Thanks.
We're excited to have you on.
Yeah, this is going to be pretty cool. It feels like Inception almost, but it's not. No more than me reacting to your guys' reaction video of my video. Mm-hmm. But
that's the perfect lead-in, cool. Ryan.
Yeah, that's exactly. Actually, we know you did a reaction video to that, but Yeah, we have a series of questions. We're not going to do death by question. It'll be death by something else eventually for you. But what we're going to do is we just wanted to ask. We know you did a reaction video to our reaction channel of you, but we got you here live. We wanted to ask you what was your initial reaction to having a reaction channel?
It was the weirdest. It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life. I wish you guys could have been there, but that was kind of part of the payoff for you, I'd imagine, hearing it from somebody else. Like it being that much of a surprise that I didn't even hear it from you guys. Yeah, it was so strange. Just someone came up and said, I love the project you're doing with Brad and Ryan. And I was like, yeah, you must be imagining things because I'm not doing anything with Brad and Ryan. And he pulled it up and sent it to me, and I was like, that is my face with them. And it wasn't until like 2 days later I could actually ask Brad about it. Ryan, you weren't even there. And I don't know, it was like everybody was telling me about it before I could even see it myself. And yeah, it was the weirdest thing ever. I didn't even know people listened. I thought those were all bots. So
well, I had AI do transcript and then we react to it, but have we identified that friend? Do we know who was?
Oh,
that,
it was
Micah?
Nathaniel Green.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Somebody
Nathaniel,
else
future
came
guest,
up to me.
I'm sure. Yeah. Go ahead, Brad.
Well, I was gonna say somebody else came up to me also, and they were like, "Oh, Micah's like, he's kind of worried because he found out about your podcast. Have you not talked to him about it?" And I was like, "Oh, this is perfect." So then, like, it was kind of some suspenseful buildup until I saw you at Winter Weekend. That was fun.
Yeah,
Wait,
I wasn't.
So you didn't.
So I wasn't worried. I was worried that you guys were. Like the last time I had ever spoken to either of you about my podcast, Ryan, it was with you at a wedding, and you were laughing at the fact that atheists would tear me apart in my comments, and you're like, yeah, I just love getting on there and hearing them like just kind of tear you apart. And I was like, okay, so this is a source of like funny for these guys, which is fine.
That's not completely fair. Okay. That's not completely fair. No, I would just you really stick your neck out there. And I would go in the comment section, and I would have a time. Because, I mean, we've been friends forever. So knowing you and knowing what they're saying about you, and, you know, we've always made fun of each other. Yeah. So I was having just fun of what people were saying about you. Yeah. But then I would actually say things back in the comment section. I'm not being helpful, but there would be like 99 in a row. Yeah. And then just like me or whoever and saying like, well, he's trying. Cut him some slack.
That's actually
he's the apologist for you.
Yeah, that happens way more than I care to admit, where people that actually do like it, and it's mainly the people that know me and have any sort of friendship with me, they think it's funny because me being like, I don't know, I think just to know me and to know how like I'm a big guy and I just get steamrolled by people like mean commenting me, and I'm just like, my feelings are hurt now. Like it's a little bit funny. But then so they want to defend me a little bit because they're just like, okay, I know Mike is actually taking this to heart, but they go in to defend me, and like 9 times out of 10 they make it a little worse. Like it'll be something like an atheist will say something like that point was stupid, you have no clue what you're talking about, and someone's like, even if he doesn't know what he's talking about, he's doing a good job. And I'm like, come on, man.
Like we're talking about a service dog or something.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So no, I know. That was one of my comments. I think the first line was, "This is obviously a small production." So,
which is not.
But people
untrue.
are just so rude. They're so rude, and you've dealt with it very gracefully, I might add. So I commend you for that.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I hate making those videos, so I hate when. I don't know, I come up with ideas and I'm just like, oh, that'd be a good idea. Maybe that's a different angle to take. And so it's good faith. Like I'm trying to do something where it's like, maybe this would make sense to someone who disagrees with me. Inevitably it doesn't work, but those videos get like way more hits than anything else. So most of the time people are like, wow, tiny channel, just trying to get views. And I'm like, no, I actually thought this was a good idea. That's how embarrassing that is. So thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah. Well, not small enough to not have a reaction channel. So
That's true.
I don't know. Have we told you how, like, the idea started for us to even do it? I don't know if we've talked to you about that or not. I think maybe I did briefly at Winter Weekend.
Yeah,
Or maybe
I thought it was
Ryan
just
did
like
too.
you guys were talking about the things I was saying on the videos anyways, just like you guys had conversations on the phone or whatever, and it just kind of came from there, I guess. But that's all I've heard.
Yeah, so we were at North Carolina together, and talking about your pod and just kind of some of the things you're doing, geeking out a little bit. And I think Ryan, you came up with the idea. You were like, we should do a reaction to one of his videos.
I thought about that like solo, just like it would just be kind of funny to do a reaction. So yeah, it was kind of like a funny thing at the where I was like, I'm always thinking about trying to be funny. So at the start, I was like, wouldn't it be kind of funny if we did that? But I think we were in the pool, Brad.
Yeah. We were about to go into your pool. Yeah,
Well,
that's where all the
I
great
kinda love
ideas happen.
I kind of love it because at first I was like, are they strictly making fun of me? In which case I wasn't bothered. I was just like, I want to understand if there's sentiment behind this or not, because I either want to be part of the joke or like be touched at the thing they're doing. I don't know. I just didn't understand how I should be thinking about it. And then when I found out that you guys were serious, I was like, oh wow, this is like the most serious I've ever seen these guys be ever with me. And then I found out
And you're not even there.
Yeah, and then I was like, no, there's actually more joke in it than I thought. And I was like, oh good, that's actually perfect. So it kind of made me comfortable again. I was like, yeah, it needs to be a little bit making fun of me, just a tiny bit. Otherwise, it's way too sentimental to be gruff men about.
Yeah, and making fun of ourselves along the way.
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
So it's fun.
Yeah, you guys do a good job of that.
Well, I consider Brad and I together get close to your ability to do it on your own, because we're having a hard time with like he says in the intro, we butcher quotes, we pose to be philosophers, but things just come very naturally for you, Micah, and you've always been very articulate. I can barely even say the word articulate, but it's hard because we kind of share our brain, Brad and I, on these things, which I think is helpful to get through conversations. Because I've had moments where we haven't even recorded that much, and I've started sentences and I don't even know where I've gone with them. And Brad's been very generous and helpful to get me to the end, hold my hand to the end.
No, I've heard Brad do the same thing.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
No,
multiple times, too many times.
I actually disagree though. Like when I listen to you guys, I'm a little jealous because I don't have anyone to. Wow, this sounds so sad. I should have thought about this sentence for a little more first. I don't have anyone to talk to on my podcast unless I'm doing. Okay. Unless I'm doing interviews.
You start crying.
Yeah, when I do interviews, I have people to talk to, and that's really good. But those are a little bit more like, okay, I had an agenda with this one. Like I read a book from someone or I saw an interview, and the information that I heard, I want to replicate on my podcast. So it's a little bit more structured. Whereas you guys, like, you have something to structure you, which is just whatever I've said in the last video, but you can pause it and just riff whenever you want. And I don't have that. So that's why I'm so excited to be on this right now, because it's just like way more easy to like not feel like every word has to be tailored, or not feel like, oh, I have to pause that, or I'm going to have to edit that whole section out. Or like there was one time I recorded and I accidentally posted an unedited version of what I had recorded. And every time I start, I go in front of the camera and I do this. And then I go. And nobody knows that, but I do it because it sets a spike in the audio so that I can line up the video and the audio together when I go and edit it.
Interesting. Wow.
So it was just this audio of me just going, hey everybody, welcome to, no, that was wrong. Hey everybody, welcome to Truth. And like, But that's the kind of stuff that, like, when you're just with people, you can do, and they can laugh at you, and then you move on. If I'm by myself and I do it, then it's just, like, a little weird. So I had to take it down.
That is true unless your editor just keeps everything in, which happens.
Yeah,
for
I've seen
Ryan
that
a lot,
too.
So things that I'm like, no, take out, please cut that.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, we're gonna keep it in.
Hey, you know
He
that
said some
10-minute
really
speech?
favorable things. No, go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
No, just like, yeah, I know there's certain times even where, like, in it, Brad, you'll say, like, yeah, and we can edit this out later, and then it's clearly
so many
still
times. I gotta like
Editing
be
takes
careful.
time.
Yeah,
Let's be real. Mikey, you have a really nice snap, by the way.
Yeah, nice.
That was really clear.
keep that in your podcast.
I'm gonna extrapolate that sound for later.
Talking about editing.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah, I'm sure that was what you
quick
guys wanted to
question.
get into.
Quick question. Has there been so far a reaction of ours to your content that you've cringed at or thought, not where I was going, not not what I would have taken from that?
No, not yet. I mean, definitely things that I didn't intend. Like, you guys would draw out things, and I was like, oh man, that's actually a better separate point than the one I was intending to make. So I'm hoping other people got that as well. And then, like, the last one, I had a few comments. I commented, like, I spam commented that whole video because I was like, oh.
Loved it.
I think you guys were talking about, like, the RSV as a translation. I was like, no, that is actually a translation. So, like, I wanted to be in the conversation with you because I had something to add, but it didn't. No, it never felt like you guys took the video in, like, a direction that I didn't intend it to. And that's actually the coolest part for me is, like, you guys are a really good litmus test. I'm just listening to this for myself, and being like, I think that made sense, or sometimes it makes no sense and I have to go back in and re-record. But hearing you guys talk about it is like, oh, okay, good. Like, that point got across a little bit. So that's been good.
That's fun.
Great. Well, more to come, and I'm sure you'll have disagreement points. So, I mean, in our latest one we're going to drop is, does God have a love language? I'm probably not saying that entire one well, but that one we had a little bit more fun with because we took on two of your more heavier videos, which was what happens after you die, basically, if you don't know Jesus, and then the one before that we took on atheism as well. So we try to, I think this latest one we're dropping here soon enough is a little bit lighter, a little bit more fun, and we loved it. We loved doing it. What's that?
How do you pick that? Like, what are you guys looking for in an episode that you would react to?
It's kind of like a spur of the moment. We get on and we're like, so which one do you want to do? And that one, like he said, we had come off the heels of two fairly serious ones that we were probably way in over our heads. And so it felt like a good balance for what we're trying to do to kind of take one that we thought was, well, actually, I don't know if I had listened to that one. So that might've been a true reaction, going into it. But, the title and subject felt like it'd be fun to hear your take on and then kind of talk about. So,
yeah, I think, Brad, I did basically a blind reaction to the previous one, and it was kind of actually nice where I hadn't watched the video before, and I just went into it. And it was kind of fun, just actually like listen to your words and actually like really live reacting.
Yeah,
that's kind of like true reacting. So we both thought maybe we didn't listen to that one. Also, it was a little shorter. Some of our videos have been going like an hour and a half long because we can't stop talking about what you're talking about. So,
which has been so fun. It is hard because it's like I ramble a lot, so it's been a learning curve to try and like trim out some of the excess. But it's been so fun to just dive deep.
Yeah,
and you're doing the hard work, Micah.
Well, it doesn't feel like that from the outside. Like, listening to you guys just feels like listening to a conversation. So I know when you listen back and you're thinking podcast, YouTube channel, whatever, it's like we do have that tendency so often to like edit to the point of, I mean, editing's fine, but like we edit to the point of removing ourselves as much as possible. It's just like, oh, well, I don't like what I said there, or for how long I said it, or whatever. Like even right now, I'm like very conscious of myself speaking, and I'm like, okay, Micah, wrap it up, like get to the point. And I know you're both thinking the same thing.
Did I say that?
No.
Oh.
I just laugh because I relate to that.
Yeah, it happens. You start thinking, I have a good point to make, I think, and you travel along that path for a minute, and then you realize, oh, I've been walking this path for a long time now. I need to stop. But to anybody else listening, it doesn't feel that way. So it's kind of weird to try and like, you almost can't self-censor. So I wouldn't worry about it for you guys, because I've never felt that way for you.
I got a question, Micah. Do you have a favorite episode that you've done of your own content? You've done a lot of content, but I mean, maybe give us like 3 if you don't want to choose your favorite child. But yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because sometimes, in a way, they're like writing songs where when I write songs, typically years later, I'll go back and listen to that song, and it'll be like, man, this means a different thing to me now than it did, because I'm not in that same place. So sometimes I'll actually listen back to things and I'm like, man, I talked about that? Like, I had the guts to talk about that topic or whatever, and I'll listen to it. I'm like, there were actually some good points in there, and I will learn from my past self because I'm in a different spot now than I was. So in that way, there are some that are just like, I couldn't even list them as favorites because I kind of forgot. Like I'm at like 140 something episodes right now.
Wow.
And you kind of just forget all the things you've covered until someone brings it up and you're like, oh, yeah, I think I talked about that. I would say definitely some of the interviews have been some of my favorites, just because getting to talk to some of the people that like I respect. Like I'll read a book and I'll think, man, that guy like has it together. He knows what he's talking about. And then it's just like, maybe I could talk to him. And you do. So this person becomes like a human that you're interacting with rather than just words on a page or like an idea that you're dialoguing with. So some of those interviews, I thought like, it's kind of a long shot for me to be able to talk with these people. And then when it became easy, I was just like, oh man, what a sweet opportunity. So some of those have been really neat for me. And then I think aside from videos, it really is so much about reaction, not your guys' reaction necessarily, although that has been really cool. That's a different kind of fulfilling, but like you get a little, you can tend to get a little discouraged when you're just like, okay, I know why I started this. I know why I'm doing this. I know why I think it's important, but I'm not necessarily seeing it work like I would hope, or like I see somebody else working. You get kind of comparative. And so when I think that way and I don't have a lot of response, whether that's in comments, views, likes, people sharing it, whatever, it can get a little discouraging. But there are certain ones where like I'll just have a really good interaction in the comments, and that will like flip my whole, just my entire view of it. So like just recently I had one about why did God let this happen to me? About residual pain and scars, and why God can, call us out of our pain, but then still, we still hurt from it afterwards. Like, why not just heal us all the way? And I had it didn't get a lot of views or anything, but I had one guy in the comments that I interacted with back and forth for like just a few minutes. And he went from a guy that was saying like his first comment was, I mean, I hope it's okay to say on here, his first comment was wildly inappropriate. It was like how much he hates God. And he said, I brought up Jacob wrestling with God. And he said, well, he only lost because God cheated. And if I had a chance to wrestle with God, he'd be begging to get back up on the cross before I was done with him. And I was like, man, like, wow. This guy is flaming mad. And then like within the course of a few comments, I just didn't react angrily to him. And so we talked a little bit longer. And by the end of it, I said, I actually don't think you're mad at God. I think you're mad at this person that your past church has presented to you as God. Like, they told you God would do this, or God would look this way, or God would fulfill this promise. But God doesn't actually claim that about himself. So figure out what the Bible says about God. Like, let God speak for himself. And then you can determine if he's been faithful to you or not. And he's like, you might be right. they might have told me the wrong thing about God. I need to go find out. I'm like,
Wow.
oh man, like to flip that was so cool because it's like what I've believed about apologetics this whole time. It's what I believed about the power of Scripture and the Word of God and what God can do in people. But for a while, it's just like you think nothing of what you do or the videos you make or the effort you're putting in, and then one person just has like a slightly more positive reaction afterwards, and you're like, okay, everything's worth it. So I'd say that one, like things like that rather than the subjects themselves have been the most rewarding.
That's really
What some of the outcomes of the subjects. Hey, Brad, that kind of is a good segue for what you're going to ask about kind of the origins and the inspiration.
Yeah, just curious kind of what led you, this will I guess be like a two-parter. So what was the inspiration to start the podcast? And then you kind of have talked about the journey a little bit, but then where do you see it kind of going? Do you think it changes a lot? Do you think you stick to what you've kind of been doing?
Yeah. The first part I'll answer. Have you guys ever heard of Mike Winger, Bible thinker?
Mm-hmm.
Brad?
Yeah.
Ryan? Okay. Yeah, that podcast was like that was like the first podcast I ever listened to. This is back when podcasts were, they seem like they're a little bit declined now, but like at the time it was like everybody that was anybody was starting a podcast or had one. And I had a job that I could listen to them while I worked. And so I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. Started with his, and he did a series on evidence that the Bible is the inspired word of God. And it was a 20-part series. And I started with the first one, and like it finished in no time. Like it was the quickest. It was one of the coolest listenings I've ever done. And I kind of fell in love with the idea of, man, this guy is presenting things so well in like a logical way. It was logical, but it wasn't devoid of like beauty. Also, he gave me something I could share with others who had explicit questions. It was topically laid out. And I was like, man, this is like such a valuable resource that this guy not only helped me with, but I might help others with if I share it. And I just saw other people sharing podcasts a lot, and I thought, I bet I could do it. I speak for church. I love studying. So, and it doesn't harm anybody to do it, because if I do it and nobody listens, it's still up there. You know, it's just like kind of saved in a database. So that was why I started it, because somebody else did it. And I just thought, this is such a good resource that has helped me so much. I'd love to have the opportunity to do that as well if I can. But worst case scenario, this is what I've always told myself from the start, is worst case scenario, it's just me, and I'll at least have better regimented study, because I'm studying not just to kind of generally get something, but to share what I love about the Bible. And I think that's kind of a thing that's going on right now in society. People just don't seem to, like even in churches, they don't know that the Bible can be interesting. They don't know that they can fall in love with it too. It's like, well, I'm not a reader. It's like, oh man, but there's so much more than just words on a page. Or
why do you think that is?
Sorry?
Why do you think that is? That they don't, is it the content that's being presented to them?
Well, it's like I don't know. It's like there's people that are so interested in truth. Like people want answers so badly. So I don't like when people just downplay, like, oh, well, they just don't want it. It's like, no, they want it. They don't know that they can want it, or that it can be delivered to them, rather. Like they almost, maybe it's a self-doubt thing. Like, well, I don't like history, so how can I like the Bible when it's so full of history? I don't like poetry, so how can I like the Bible because it has so much poetry? And they just don't realize that it's everybody's book. It's the book that speaks to every single person's like innermost desire. And so I think they either don't know they can want it, or it can be delivered to them, or they don't know that they have the aptitude for it, and they trust that lack more than they trust God's desire to communicate with them through however they learn. So maybe just that.
That they unqualify it unfairly. based upon maybe presuppositions and
Yeah.
things that they think they know.
Or even like the guy
about
that you had just
themselves.
mentioned, who you were like, hey, maybe give it another shot. Maybe what you had learned wasn't quite the accurate depiction of God. Like, how many people has that happened to, where, not to dog on any other church, but it happens. I mean, people have really bad church experiences, and it totally throws them off. But
Yeah, I mean, I think even well-intentioned, in well-intentioned ways, like our church, I mean, we go to the same church. Our church, I think, is a great church. There's really good things about it. But I also know that while we would never preach salvation by works, like we would never say that out loud in a sermon, that like you can earn your salvation, we'll always even explicitly say you can't. Culturally, there's something underneath that is almost a little bit like, why do I feel that way then? And you can kind of notice it by every time we feel the need to qualify. We're like, now I'm not saying you can earn your salvation. It's like, why did you feel the need to defend that? If you weren't even getting close to it, you wouldn't need to defend it. And that's not to harsh on our church. I love where I am, but it's just to say even well-intentioned places can have flaws like that might be something for me. Like, my personality might be one to push through those things and say, okay, I want to challenge that a little bit. I want to look into that a little bit more. But for someone else, it might just feel like a weight that makes them feel like, oh, I can't approach the Bible. It's too heavy. And no one is intending this, I don't think. It just is it's the nature of a church that is speaking to a lot of people to not really know how to speak to individuals. And a lot of times people that speak to individuals don't know how to speak to a lot of people. So it's just different skill sets and learning how God communicates to people through his one inspired word, but in so many different ways to reach those different individuals.
Yeah, I think we talk to each other in the masses often through culture. Like you just said, our church has a culture. Other churches have a culture. Again, we won't dog on other churches or even our church.
Yeah.
Or we could. No, we won't do that. But disfellowship from everywhere. Non-denominationally
Micah started it.
Well, actually, okay, so I actually think that's really good. I started out being very hesitant about what I could and couldn't talk about on my channel because I thought might be a little too pointed. Someone might listen to this and it's going to get shared around and I'm going to get in trouble. And I think I've started to go away from that a little bit. I'm not like radical or like aggressive or anything, but I think that's the difference. My heart is not one that's trying to tear down my church, someone else's church, my faith, someone else's faith. It's not in the business of tearing anything down, and so I won't deliver it that way. I refuse to deliver it that way. If someone feels provoked by that or they feel torn down by it, I can apologize and make things right, or I can take that and say, maybe they feel that way because there's a little bit of guilt going on and I can't control everybody's responses. So, but I do think it's so healthy to have places where you can openly, not criticize, but openly talk about the fact that we're people and we're going to have some problems, and not being afraid to call those out, not by pointing the finger at people, but by saying, hey, where can we grow? And anytime you say, where can we grow, that's a place that you're not grown as much as you'd like to be in. So someone can take that as criticism if they want, but it's just not that. And I think to not point out stuff that's problematic is to almost stop growing. So hopefully that's how people take it.
It's to distance yourself, because if you just point from a distance and say that's wrong, you're not saying, okay, that's wrong, but I'm going to go put on a hard hat and help build it.
Yes.
Type of thing. You have that mentality. You've always had that mentality where you'll say, I don't know about that, but let me get my hands dirty and figure it out. See something, say something. No, not really, but it's that whole. This is one of the quotes I butchered before, Brad, which was John Adams and his disdain for people that just tore things down. Mm-hmm. And I share that, where all they do is they're basically just playing Tetris and just tearing things down. And they're not they're not building anything up. They're not offering solutions. They're not offering to go in. All they do is stand from afar and take sniper shots, basically.
Yeah, right.
And I think that's really unconstructive.
Yeah. And on the other side, too, I think I've had to learn. So I used to be a person that just stood from afar and said, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong, right? I mean, you remember making that video that, well, maybe we don't need to bring it up, but we made a video.
Bring it up.
We made a video years ago when our church was going through difficulty that was like music, and we altered the words to the song Hallelujah by Leonard Cohen because we thought in our 13-year-old, 15-year-old state that we knew what was going on. And so we wrote this like...
I was 27.
Okay. No, we weren't that old.
We were teenagers.
Like 2010 era?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So our church is going through difficulty, through division, and we're looking at it. And we thought we knew what we were talking about, but really we were just pointing at something that vaguely felt wrong, and we just decided to be social justice warriors all of a sudden. But that very funny and stupid incident in my life did actually kind of become a thing where I realized, I am just kind of upset at things. I am just kind of like, well, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. This speaker's bad, this speaker's boring, this pastor did this thing, this pastor did that thing. And it just took hold of me. I mean, I just became one of those people that just complained. And what I want to say about that is, I don't want to just rip myself apart right now either, but I kind of tried to grow from that. But now that I've been there, I've been one of those people, I also realize there are some people that will point out problems and they just don't have a solution. And I want to be careful not to make those people out to be just like accusers and attackers for nothing, because what they could really be doing is saying, hey, I hurt. Like, hey, that message you gave in church was horrible. But instead of just saying it's horrible, they might be saying it hurt me. It feels bad. I feel discouraged by it. And it's only it's those kinds of things like discouragement or frustration or confusion that you kind of bear silently, and then it becomes criticism later. But to those people that are that way, like, I do think it's healthier to say, hey, that wasn't good. Can we do this better, or can I do something about it? But also I know there are people that get the perception from others that they're just tearing things down when really they're trying to express, hey, I'm in pain. Like, hey, this doesn't sit right with me. And so if I'm someone who has any power to do anything, I want to listen to those people and not accuse them of being just like rabble-rousers, But if I'm going to be complaining, I also want to not assume everyone's going to give me the same grace. I want to be a person that comes up with solutions if I can, or just tries to make peace, I guess.
Yeah. I actually think I see that as different, Micah, because I see we're reacting to you in live time and disagreeing with you in live time.
That's
but
fine.
Not really not really a disagreement, but I think those people are doing the same thing as what you're doing, is putting on the hard hat and trying to mend the situation. Because if they were hurt by that, I actually think the wrong thing to do is, if you're actually hurt by that, is to not say anything. Mm-hmm. So for them actually bringing up the criticism, I think is part of the remediation of them putting on that hard hat as well, getting down and dirty with everybody and figuring out how to solve the situation.
It is.
So I would commend them to do that. If you're hurt by that, what I'm talking about is, we've all been part of these conversations with our friends, and I've been part of them as well, is where you're sitting around at even like a dinner table or whatever, and you're riffing off on, man, that sermon was long today, or man, that was, why do we talk like that? Or, those types of things. And then you leave it at that, you laugh at people, and then you go back to your homes,
Yeah.
And I've been a part, I've been a part of that. So that's not great.
Well, and some of it, I think we do need to commiserate a little bit. There is such a thing as a long sermon. And I'm not, like, we have time limits on messages. Sorry, I'm not trying to like just rebut everything you say, but like, I think it's okay to a point to just be like, man, that was a little bit of a rough one today. But yeah, when it does come to like how often do you make that a habit, or is it influencing how you view the entirety of your church? Have you boiled your congregational experience down to just the sermon you heard that week that might not be the best every so often? rather than seeing the good in things. That is very different. And I do agree that people talking about the things wrong is a good step. It's just, you see it done so, it's such just a difficult situation. And it's almost like a little mini what we have going on in America, right? Where it's like people will be upset about something and they protest, and people that are cool with the thing will look at the protesters and be like, idiots, they have no clue what they're doing. And it's just like, okay, I agree there are good ways to protest things that you don't like, or things that are you see as ineffective or inefficient. That's good. We have that right for a reason. Are you doing it effectively, or are you just shouting? You know, like the protesters need to ask themselves, am I doing this in a beneficial way? Could I potentially cause good and lasting change here, or am I just screaming and like getting out my anger? And those that are viewing the protesters need to not just say, I'm going to dismiss them because they're clearly dumb for disagreeing with me. They're clearly just being angry. We need to give them the grace to say, okay, maybe there is something that's causing them pain, or something that's not as it should be. Let me really analyze that to make sure. And we don't do it so good in America, and we certainly don't do it so good in Christianity at large. So,
well, that leads us to our next question. Micah, which political party are you affiliated with? And go.
How wild would it be if you just like unashamedly spouted it all? Like, oh
and
no,
why?
That was a...
And why that political party is the party of the Bible. And
Yeah.
go.
Why capitalism is the... Yeah, too much of that stuff. I kind of hate going to politics, but it just seems like the thing we all hate in the country is also the thing we actively do in our own churches. So I'm just like, a lot easier to fix on a local level. So let's just like work there first.
I think it must be a human condition, because you see it at work, right? Like how many people talk about work politics and how much that drives them crazy. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Oh, that person totally dropped the ball on this project and they don't know what they're doing. They're idiots. They're incompetent. Like it's just something in us. I don't know if I've often wondered, because I've felt this at times. I'm certainly guilty of being the complaining party. I wonder how much of it is due to insecurity, where maybe something in me is not totally secure with whatever the topic or situation is, but it feels better to kind of throw darts and bring somebody else down instead of actually deal with the cause that I'm dealing with, the root issue. But
right. Or realize that there even is a totally separate issue going on, where it's like someone might be doing something horribly wrong. You don't have any control over it, so you complaining about it doesn't actually accomplish anything. But you could be in a state where God's like, I wonder how patient he'll be. Or like, I wonder if he'll refuse to slander. And you're just like, well, that's not really the point. We're talking about this. And it's like, but it might be the point for you. You know, that might be the thing you need to be working on, because it might be the only thing in your control.
yeah,
I don't know. It's tough.
it is.
I got a question for you, Micah. Do you think we have this? I don't want to open up more cans of worms, but do you think we kind of have a Monday morning quarterback problem with our ministers? And I'll let me phrase that.
All for you, buddy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Thanks
there?
for coming on.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Question.
Do you know what I'm saying though? Because in so much of what I take a lot from what you say in the long distance relationship one. I thought that was really interesting when you're talking about having the burden of having to create content and do so, well, and do it consistently. And, our ministers have to do that type of stuff too. And they have to care for the flock, and they have to care for large groups of people. And then I just feel like I personally do, I feel like there's I could do it better mentality for a lot of people. And then if they did, they would just end up doing a lot of the same stuff. So I lay that at your feet.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, there's probably a lot of things going on there. I mean, I think I've talked to... So I do that generational divide episode. You guys probably haven't talked about it on here yet, but Brad was talking to me about it earlier. I do these episodes where they're interviews with people from our church of different generations, and I kind of talk to them about what are the good things you see? What are the problems you see? How do you feel perceived? What are the strengths of your generation? What do you need from other generations? And it's been really cool. It's gone slow because getting people to join that, they're afraid of being a little too critical, so they're hesitant. But it's been really cool when people have. And the thing that's kind of continually been brought up, even if it's just like before those conversations or after, is that I think maybe we are like demanding, I'm not sure where the blame lays for this, so I'm not really trying to assign blame, but we do ask a lot of pastors. Like, they have to be very eloquent in their speech. They have to be biblically brilliant, because not just sound, but they have to be brilliant, because they're competing with every bit of information we have on the internet, right? We're in a very fact-check culture. So it's like if they say something wrong, we know about it so quick. They also have to be very personable and personal. They have to visit you. They have to, it's like, I'm not saying they're overworked by any means. I think it's a job and it's a fine job and okay, good. But it's not about how many hours they're putting in necessarily, as much as it is we expect them to almost be superhuman. And I don't know that I see that precedent in the Bible. So when they try to be, one of two things happens. Either they succeed at being superhuman in a few very visible areas, and those are the people we're like, wow, these are the best of the best. But they let everything else kind of fall, and so those who see those parts are wanting to tear them down. Or they distribute their efforts and energies pretty evenly across the board, and they're kind of mid. But they have no opportunity to succeed because the expectation placed on them is they need to be perfect in all these things. Now, James talks about it, to be a teacher. I think he's talking about pastorship. To be a teacher, you need to know it comes with a higher level of judgment. If you're going to teach these things, then you need to be living them, because you're going to be seen by people and it's going to come out. That's fair. And so I try my best to think about myself and be like, am I talking about anything that I can't actually say? And that does hinder me sometimes. Yeah. I'm like, I know this to be right, but I don't think I'm living it as well as I should. So I need to get right in there first before I can talk about it.
Especially with the more you say. Because the more you say, the more you're judging yourself.
Yes, absolutely.
In a way, you're putting out your own standards out there constantly.
Right.
Sorry, go on.
No, absolutely. And yeah, so I think that because we have this expectation that they're perfect in everything, we don't necessarily give them the opportunity to be good in the things they're good at. And maybe we don't place them well either. Maybe some congregation really needs someone personable, and instead we've placed a really good business manager there. And it's like, okay, well, that business manager thing could be really good, and it could be what someone else needs over here, and they're not going to be valued appropriately. But yeah, so there's a lot of things going on with that I think is not the fault of the pastor or the minister, and not the fault of the people. It's just somehow we have it crossed that we think these are more than people, and they're not. And I think the majority of them don't want to be perceived that way. They're just like, come on, man, my job is hard. I'm trying my best. And that, I don't know. I think that we shoot ourselves in the foot with that just a little bit.
That's a fair answer. You weren't prepped for that question.
Brad?
I think you did a great job.
Well done.
Your turn.
Well, so maybe a couple comments. I could, a little insider baseball perhaps, with my dad being
the worst
a pastor
one we have. Just kidding. Your dad baptized me. I can't say that.
Disfellowshipped.
True. Yeah, I forgot about that. No, just hearing him talk about, because he's compared to some, I guess he's only been doing it for maybe 10 or 12 years, something like that. So he had worked in Ohio for a while doing civil engineering type work and drafting and stuff. And so kind of transitioning, I think he learned a lot just from those early years. And so hearing some of the stories of what he would go through, it's exactly what you guys are talking about, where you've got these different personalities within a church. And some people have very strong opinions about how something should be handled or the way things should be organized, how funds should be handled, like, etc. Right. And so they are balancing a lot. And I think one of the lessons that he's shared with me that is a tough one to learn, but because I know I still struggle with it, is like he has to let go of trying to be a people pleaser. Like, you can't be in that role and just try and make everybody happy. And that's tough, because as a minister, you want to be well liked and you want to be supportive and you're there to serve. Like, that's literally the idea of the position. And so if you have that contention or those issues, that could be tough. But yeah, I think about James as well. I took a break from even giving sermonettes at church, because I was like, there are some things that I need to, clean up in my own life and make sure that I'm walking the straight and narrow, so to speak, before getting up in front of people. And it's a heavy thing even still, like preparing a message and making sure that it's, biblical and relevant and interesting and engaging. Like, all those things are put. And again, that's a 12-minute sermonette slot, let alone actually trying to help coordinate a couple church congregations. So tough position, but yeah.
Any of you have either of you? This is a stupid question. Have you either fact checked a speaker? Maybe just Brad. You got a mute button on that bad boy for this guy. Brad has a master mute. Have either of you fact checked a speaker in real time in the audience?
Yeah. 100%.
I have.
Like, weekly. I think I do it every week. I'm not even kidding. And I mean, I think it's okay. So our pastor...
Wait, can you explain that? Actually, a weekly's a lot.
Yeah, I think weekly I will fact check the pastor.
Now,
sense. I'm not. Yeah. What I'm not saying is I correctly prove them wrong on something, but I will definitely challenge something and look it up. And I don't just take what they say at face value. If they say something that I haven't reconciled to myself, I'll be like, that was a claim. Let me go check it. So I'll do that. And I think that's good, actually. Like, I try not to do it. I mean, you guys know me. I do like to debate things. I do like to, I don't know. I try not to have the reputation.
I was going to say, Micah, knowing you, this 100% makes perfect sense. I shouldn't even be shocked. So go ahead.
I try not to be argumentative, but it is a problem. Like, I do tend to be a little too forceful with that kind of thing. Not because I'm mad or angry or upset. I'm just like, I get a little passionate and I'm just like, oh, but you said this, but what about this? And they're just like, whoa, like, you are coming at this a little bit strong. Fortunately, I think where I go to church, we have a really nice culture. Like, we even have, most weeks, we've got like chats after church about the message. Like, 2 minutes after services, we sit back down and he's like, all right, you guys have anything to say? Like, good, bad,
interesting,
like, comments you want to make, questions you have, like, let's just talk about it. And really sometimes there's nothing, there's no pressure, but sometimes there's just like, well, you said this and I was confused. So it's kind of encouraged. And I think when that kind of thing is encouraged, like, just to, not to question me and tear me apart, but, just a person recognizing, hey, I'm human and I don't know everything. So if you have something that supplements what I could say or corrects something I said, feel free. There's a humility there that doesn't make people feel like they have to do that all the time. So I think it's a good thing.
It creates a culture where it's like, I think that's a brilliant thing to do, because even if 95% of the congregation don't say anything about it, it creates a culture of that humility that you said that, hey, your feedback is available. So you can never say when you're off on your groups that, things don't change, how we're going to change things, whatever, because you leave that door open. I think that's a brilliant thing to do.
Yeah. So yes, every week.
The way you explained it, though, it actually does make a lot of sense. I think that is something we should be doing, because it's a part of paying attention, following along. And I've misspoken. I know others have misspoken accidentally too. So that happens. That's not necessarily uncommon. But
yeah. Brad, I've hijacked a lot of these questions.
Oh, no,
do you have anything? Do you have anything you want to ask Micah?
I know I like went way.
Things,
I mean, we went from how did you start your podcast to like church government and structure, like really fluidly.
Yeah.
I don't know how we got there, but so sorry, I
either.
kind of hijacked some of it, but
No, you're good. You touched on a couple that I kind of wanted to talk about, which was the generational series. We can talk more about that, or if you maybe that's TBD because you're still involved. I will say real quick, I loved the last one that you did. I forget the kid's name. He was so
Down.
brilliant for I don't know how, I'm assuming he was 13 or 14 years old, but he was very eloquent.
15.
Is he older than that?
Really
Okay,
eloquent for a
15.
15-year-old or for a 13-year-old, but kind of dumb for a 15.
I said 13 or 14.
Is that what you're
That was
saying?
close. Anyways,
No,
I
he
thought
is
that
so
was
smart.
great. Yeah, that was really cool. I like that one. So there was that. I was going to talk to you more about that, or the people on the podcast, but you've kind of touched on that as well with Mike Winger and some of the others.
What do you
maybe
want to know about that?
Yeah, I'm curious. Like I told Ryan, maybe strategy is the wrong word, but do you have in mind like certain people that you want to have on, like when you're considering who to invite? Is it just topic focused? Is it like I really like this person's perspective or the way that they approach things? Like tell us about your process on like how you're shooting for that. And you've done well at it. We were wondering beforehand like how many rejections you've gotten, if any. But you've had some great people on there, which is really cool.
Have you had rejections? I'm curious.
Ryan jumps in at that last bit. No. Forget the first part of that.
Wait, we're talking about females, right? Female rejection?
Oh yeah, I've definitely had both of those things.
Sorry, podcast guest. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've definitely had rejections. Most of them are. Okay, it's interesting. So I wanted to do an episode with an atheist and basically steel man each other's arguments. So rather than me being like, let's debate, like let me fight your argument and you fight my argument, I want to kind of dispel some misconceptions about each other's thing. Because like Christians might think atheists are all mean and stupid, and I'm like, actually some of them are brilliant and like really good-hearted. They just disagree with you. Yeah. And then atheists might think Christians are like brainwashed and they don't think about things, and you're like, there's actually some brilliant Christians. So I asked Bart Ehrman, who's just like kind of one of the most famous atheists in existence, and he got back to me pretty quickly actually, which was super cool. But he said, hey, I'd love to be on the show. This sounds like a cool idea. I charge $1,000 for each hour. And I was like, huh.
Whoa.
Like it totally makes sense that he would charge like this is these people's time, so like I didn't at first I kind of like balked at the number and that he would even suggest charging, but then I was like, well, no, actually that shows like a level of self-respect that I can appreciate. But what's funny is with no other Christian that I've interviewed have they ever suggested payment. They're just like, of course I'll be on your show. Like they really love what they're saying, and they've seen my show. They will check it out to make sure, like, is this guy a crackpot or something? And they know I don't have a lot of subscribers. I don't have a lot of people watching my show, but they believe in it and they appreciate that I value their input. And so that's been really cool. But I did get rejected by him, not outright, but because I didn't want to pay $1,000 for that episode.
You have a minimum? Could you have done like a 15-minute little banter session with him? Or
No, he just said $1,000 for an hour. So
please, sir, can I have 5 minutes?
Yeah, I'll give you $20. And then I did get rejected, or not quite rejected. I'm still, like years ago, I emailed NT Wright thinking I would never hear from him because he's like so famous. And he emailed back, weirdly enough. That was the coolest part. But he emailed back. He said, Micah, I would love to do this. It's so kind of you to ask. I don't have time for it right now. Ask again later. And I was like, okay, I will. So 6 months
say
went by.
Say it how he would say it, though, in his beautiful voice.
Oh, he does. I know. I
Is
can't
he
even
working
do
on-
that grandfatherly of a British accent.
Is he working on like a tome? I can't remember if it's him or if
Ancient
it's
archaic book hidden in like a sarcophagus. Is N.T. Wright working on a sarcophagus book? Is that what you're saying?
no,
Yes,
like
yes,
his
yes.
life's work. Like trying to think of like Gary Habermas he just came out with I think it's called a tome. I mean, we do butcher things, but I'm pretty sure I have that right.
I call
Didn't we
them
change
books.
that to book about 1,000 years ago?
Wait, what?
Didn't we change the word tome to book? Like
Yes,
maybe
but it's a specific
centuries
kind of
ago?
Penning a
book.
scroll that I
All
don't
right, you know what? This is worth Googling midstream to check.
Sorry, Brad.
What is
And again, I totally hijacked what you were trying to talk about, Micah. Your process in getting a guest.
No,
We-
this is a worthy joke and Google
Okay.
search from Brad.
So a tome, Tome, refers to a large, heavy, and often scholarly book or volume, especially one that's part of a larger work. So, like Gary Habermas
So
did one on
kind
the
of.
resurrection.
So kind of a book.
Brad's probably right.
Yeah, he probably is.
He probably
Like
is. We're just-
I've listened to a lot of podcasts. I've heard other people talk about tomes, but anyway, sorry, that not worth going down that rabbit hole. But N.T. Wright would have been amazing, and still would be if you can end up getting him
Yeah.
on. That would be so.
So
cool.
every 6 months I re-email him and I'm just like, please.
Yeah.
And he's
Hey.
like, Mike, I'd really love to do. Just keep asking. One of these days. I'm like, dude, 15 minutes. Like
you
I'll
were the
take anything.
nicest reject.
He is, and I got to meet him,
Yeah.
which is cool. Like I went to
Whoa,
one of his like
nice.
summer intensive classes, which was that was awesome. But yeah, still no podcast there. Other than that, though, it's amazing. Like you can find emails of people. Like it's not that hard. People are these guys are famous in a very different way. Like I couldn't find Taylor Swift's email. But I can find like the theology version of Taylor Swift's email because they're just book writers and like Bible nerds, and I love that. So.
who is the theology version of Taylor Swift? First of all, that's
N.T.
a great
Wright.
question.
Tim Mackey.
N.T. Wright.
Oh,
N.T.
Wright.
definitely.
N.T. Wright.
Oh,
yeah, okay.
I did get rejected by Tim Mackey actually.
Really?
Yeah, but
He's pretty
those don't
big.
feel like rejections because it's literally just an automated response back that's like,
Yeah. They probably get so
you know,
many requests.
thank you so much. Yeah.
Man, if
That
you
would
have
be
a
cool.
one-on-one sit down with NT Wright in like leather chairs, and you guys are just,
Cigar.
I can see it. Oh,
Yeah.
Ryan's
Cigars and
playing
a
on the
little-
baby piano in the back.
Brad's just holding a bass. He doesn't know what to do with it. He's just holding it.
Yeah, so Mr. Wright, I love that you accepted my request. I have two friends that are just going to be standing there, and one's going to be playing a baby grand. Is that cool?
Tell us about the tome. No, that's so cool.
As far as process goes, though, sorry, I just super briefly,
Yeah.
basically it's just if I'm reading something that is like inspiring to me, I will try to. And I just think like, man, people need to hear this. This has affected my life. I try to share that with people through an interview, or if it could work a little bit differently. If I hear a lot about a certain topic, like people are like, oh, I have questions about this, or this. I'm like, okay, I'm going to read up on that because I don't actually have a good answer. And from that, I will find people that have good answers and bring them on. But really as far as it goes, as far as planning it all goes.
You're doing great.
Yeah.
I think you should start a Kickstarter to get Bart Ehrman on your
That would be cool.
channel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will. We'll front some money.
I guess to give him maybe a little benefit of the doubt, he is a pretty legit scholar. So the work he's done is not like he's the real deal, I think, as far as biblical scholarship. And obviously we would come to different conclusions, but yeah.
Well, he's also
One-
a professor. So like his time
Oh,
is
okay.
literally
Yeah.
worth, it's not just like, oh yeah, I pretty much make all my money from my books or like
Right.
social media or whatever. It's like with my time, I do something that makes my living. So like that's fair. Him
Yeah.
charging was not a bad thing. It was just interesting that
Do you think
Like,
it's
he
also
doesn't
like he's
have
got to
God.
hedge his bets a little bit? Like he doesn't
Yeah.
know you, so you could be bringing him in to try and like make him look like a fool, and so
or
it's
just
like, all
waste
right,
his time. Yeah,
Yeah,
I could
right.
just
Yeah,
be I don't have a lot of followers, so I can't really help him out very much, but
Mhm.
I could easily just be like using him to get followers, or I could be someone who just, you know, like just has no quality in my show at all that he wouldn't want to attach himself to. So I think it does hedge his bets a little bit, which is smart. It's a wise move. I just thought it was interesting that the Christian people that I've reached out to are much more like,
sure.
I believe in what I'm saying so much. I believe in the value of like the Word of God and people getting to know Him, that like any outlet is something worth pursuing if it becomes available to me. And I think that's a very different thing that Christians have that, you know, other people don't, because our hope is it's so big, you know, like the apostle said to Jesus, you have the words of life, where else should we go? And so if you have that firmly, like if you firmly believe that you have access to the words of life and you can share those with people, that becomes so much higher than what it might be worth to you personally. So that's just been cool to see that motivation in people.
Yeah. Could I ask one more question, sort of related to this?
Yeah.
So one of the things that I've also admired in the people you've had on and the conversations you've held, to my knowledge, I don't think you've ever once tried to bring up differences in theology or doctrine, which we would have some. And so I guess, not trying to like lead you into an answer, but what's kind of, that seems intentional, I guess, just from a person viewing it. And I've appreciated that, but I'd love to hear kind of your thoughts on approach.
Yeah, I guess it's two things. The first thing is that when I'm reading the books of these people or listening to the podcasts of them, the things that stick out are the things that enhance my faith. And sometimes that's challenge, right? Like I will be challenged by people in them sharing their differences of belief, for sure. But that's more a personal challenge. That's like, okay, I need to go back to the drawing board and like think about this and work this out. It's not really something I want to present on a podcast because it's not necessarily helpful. I'm plenty vulnerable about my flaws and like things I don't know without being like, I literally have nothing to give you. I just want to tell you I'm confused about this thing now because this guy challenged me. You know, that doesn't make for a podcast that's actually helpful to people. But they'll challenge me and that's really good. But it's just the things that are so much simpler to talk about are the things that you have in common, or not just have in common, but that actually build you up. Like I'm realizing that it's not just people from my own faith background that have insight and intellect into things, you know, and I'm just like, man, these guys are brilliant. Like I can take a lot from them and we can edify each other a little bit. So that's kind of the motivation. It's not out of avoidance of disagreement. It's just kind of finding it unnecessary and unedifying.
Sure.
You can do that in like a personal way, one-on-one, but there's so much to be. Okay, I'll put it this way. I started a journal recently. I think that's kind of a good thing to do, but I'm really bad at it. But I worked this thing out where I was like, okay, I was thinking of relationships like a garden where we want them to grow. Relationships with other people, whether that's like romantic or friendships or mentorships or strangers or you and God or you and yourself, any relationship you have, you want certain parts of it to grow and you want other parts to not grow. Like there's weeds in there, right? And I find so often we end up focusing on the weeds so much that we miss any flowers. Like if all we could do is just pluck out the weeds, then we'd feel comfortable. It'd be like, oh, good. It's sterile now. Like there's nothing here. And then you realize it's a garden. There's supposed to be something here, you know? And so as often as we want to make sure we're not just allowing weeds to grow, we also need to make sure we're planting something good. And so in these interactions I have with people, like it might be tempting to say like, well, where do we disagree? Let's fight that out until you see that I'm right, which might not actually happen, because sometimes we might be challenged to the point where maybe I'm wrong on something. But also there's just so much good to grow, and not enough time is spent focused on that. So
I love that.
That's kind of just what I want to do. I'm just not really interested in fighting. Like, I like to debate, I like to argue, and I like challenge. That's fine. But if that's not approached in the right way, then it just becomes contentious, and it just tears down, like we talked about earlier. So what can be planted instead?
Sorry, another quick follow-up that I just thought of. Do you think that there could potentially be room for that? Like, I agree. I think it could easily become contentious if not handled in the right way. But this might go back a little bit to what we talked about before, which is being open to critique, being open to not just complaining behind the scenes, but engaging a little bit. Like, how do you think a conversation like that would look between people of different views on pretty critical beliefs?
Yeah, so that is a good point. I mean, I do think we need to know how to disagree with people effectively. We're not very good at that. And I think there's merit in it. You could do it, but I think my biggest problem with it would just be that if I would either feel one of two ways. I need to be over-prepared to the point where there's nothing they can say that could possibly make me question anything because I want to appear some way, which is not the right mentality.
Sure.
Or it would be, it doesn't matter, let's just go in with good faith, and then I'm shaken by it, and I'm afraid that someone is going to listen to it and be shaken because of me. I'm okay if people, like, consume media that is going to challenge their ideas, but they need to have the ability to take that in as they want, as they can handle it, not just have it sprung upon them. So it's a little hard talking with certain people that might just be contentious, because it's acting out of fear both ways. So I'm not saying this is correct. I'm just saying this is where my mind is a little bit. I just have a little bit of fear that I would be leading someone to follow along with my being shaken, which for me wouldn't be a big deal, because I know ultimately, like, my bedrock is Jesus Christ. It is the text of Scripture. It is God's will for my life and mankind. And so I don't feel the ability to be shaken beyond belief. But if someone listening were, that is a terrifying prospect. So it's just fear. I think it's really just fear.
No, that's fair. Thanks.
I really don't want to end
and that's
on
not.
No.
And that's a good night. Micah Gunn is scared. No, I think I appreciate your honesty in that. Yeah. I just think it goes back to what is the purpose of why you're doing what you're doing, and it's not for that. It's more based upon that beautiful philosophy that you mentioned about being additive and not just focusing on the nits in the weeds. It's just being additive. And because they've strengthened you, why would you then ask them to come on and then talk about, well, did you think about this? No, you're trying to grow together. So I can appreciate that.
Yeah, and I mean, I do not shy away from things that might be contentious. Like, I'll talk about my beliefs, realizing that people are not going to share them, and that's fine. But then I can have a conversation with them on a little bit more equal footing, where in the comments they can look stuff up, I can look stuff up. We can, just dialogue with more information, or we can say, hey, I need to go away and think about this for a little bit. I'll come back. If you're doing it live on a podcast, you don't really have that ability, and that's okay. Like, it's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Like, if you guys wanted to have someone on that you disagree with, I'd be like, do it. Like, more power to you. I don't think we should be acting in fear in that way. But like we talked about, the Word of God is so weighty to the point where even when you go to church and you deliver a message, you're just like, man, I'm talking about heavy things. Like, I want to make sure I'm right, not just intellectually or academically, but right inside with myself, with God, with others, so that I can deliver this faithfully. And I just want to deliver things faithfully. And I like you said, I do want to be additive, because we kind of grew up in a little bit of a culture where it was us versus them rather than us for them. And I've been trying to change that in my own mind, where it's like, okay, if I disagree with this person, how can I be for them? And yes, sometimes it might be a conversation that's harsh, or a conversation that's like kind of going over the hard facts of apologetics on this topic. That could be loving. It could be for them. But knowing your timing is really important as well. So there's just so much to consider in there.
Well, there's
not saying it couldn't ever happen though.
I love what you just said, because for me, there's a scripture, I don't remember exactly where it's at, but it's in one of the Gospels where the disciples come up to Jesus and they're saying, hey, we saw some others who were casting out demons in your name, and they were doing all these other things in your name, and we told them to stop, because they're not with us. And Jesus's response was I'm paraphrasing, but why would you stop them? They're not against us, they're for us. Like,
right.
We might have differences, they might not be in our exact discipleship group following, whatever, but they're at least doing good. They're not a part of the adversary's work. So I think there's something to that.
And also there's been this like thought that's been going on in my head for a while now. I'll probably develop it into something at some point, but you guys talked about it when we talked about the one you reacted to, about like what happens after you die if you're ignorant of Jesus, right? And he's basically looking at Israel, who, they feel very self-assured, like, we are God's nation, we are God's chosen. We're not like them. We're not like Sodom, Gomorrah, Tyre, Sidon. We're not like those people. We're special. And it's like, while it's true they are God's chosen people, Jesus' message to them is, because you are chosen, you have such an obligation placed on you. You have such an expectation to do good to others, to love the oppressed, to use the wisdom and the knowledge and the blessings you have for good. And the fact that you're not means you're going to be an incredibly harsh judgment when it's all said and done. So anytime you're pointing the finger, which goes back to what we talked about earlier, anytime you're pointing the finger and saying, like, well, they should know better, I just think you might want to ask yourself, do I know better? And am I doing better? Would I do better? Just in anything else, I would say don't ever turn the focus back in on yourself. Always be looking out towards others. But whenever we're looking out towards others, it's rarely in a place of graciousness or kindness or respect or edification, I would say. Like, when we're looking across the divide and seeing them, whoever them is in your life, whether it's liberals looking at conservatives, conservatives looking at liberals, Christians looking at Muslims, Muslims looking at Christians, like whatever it is, whatever that divide is, you can look across and say, I think you're wrong. That's fine. But you might have a higher expectation placed on you because of what you have. So the minute you say, oh, well, they're going to have it worse off because they're doing evil, they might not, because the judgment, like, they've not been given the blessing you have to know the difference. And so, I don't know. I do wonder about our motivations a lot when we think about wanting to tear down someone's argument, not because there's not a place for that, there is, but more often than not, I see that slippery slope going into, I want to elevate what I'm saying over what they're saying. I don't know, it really very quickly becomes this thing where I'm not just intellectually against your idea, but you stand for your idea, and so I'm against you. And that's not at all what Jesus did. It was like, I'm against your idea because I'm for you. And I don't know how I could deliver that on a podcast. That's more a one-on-one conversation where I'm showing a person, I love you. That's why I want you to see things this way, because it's loving to you to do that.
Yeah, that reminds me of Galatians, where Paul's talking about what they're boasting, their motivation, why they're boasting, and they're boasting basically for themselves. Versus he says, I'm boasting, because of the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, and that's a paraphrase there, but that's what you just said, Micah. Why do we go out and boast or try to level arguments against one another? And I think you said it beautifully. Is to do it for them,
right? Because
I love you. And even in the Christian faith of the different millions of different variations that we have, we can do that towards each other, and it's not for the other person. It's like it's boasting for our version of it, and it's not out of love.
Right.
Sometimes I'll say, I'm not going to broadly paint here, but it's not because I want you to know this because I love you and I think this is the best thing for you. It's that boasting because, hey, I think I got the crown jewels here. I think I know what's up. So I think, well put.
And many people will hear that and say, you're just soft on the gospel. You're just wanting to water down truth. And it's like, no, I am saying there is only one way to salvation. It is through Jesus Christ. I am saying that to be a faithful person, you have to be obedient to the commands of God. I am saying that you have to pick up your cross daily and follow him. That is what I'm saying. There is no watering down of truth there. There's just saying, why are you delivering that truth? Are you delivering it because you want to share the hope that is in you, or because they are a threat to your intellectual thought about something? And more often I see it
motivation.
As that. Yeah, motivation.
Yeah, where's your heart at? Yeah. Well, you solved it. All Christianity has now converged into one as we were speaking.
I'm telling you, he's the C.S. Lewis of our generation.
That was...
I'm sorry.
Yeah, the Catholics forgave the Puritans and the Church of England. Everything just...
I hear
while we were talking, I got notifications on my phone. Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, I don't know Ryan, about C.S. Lewis. Those are big shoes to fill.
Yeah, they are for anybody.
Surprisingly, a little man, size 7. Size 7. It's a stupid joke.
Two C.S. Lewis's.
It's a good dad joke there. Yeah. From somebody who's got some experience. Do we want to get into the rapid fire?
Let's get into the rapid fire. Yeah, and Michael, we want to say we don't want this to be a one-off. We don't want you to be lonely.
Yeah, no.
Anymore.
I'll come back anytime.
Was that a country music?
What?
It's a quarter after like 1.
Oh,
I'm all alone, and
I need you
now.
Sorry.
That's me every time you guys don't invite me on the show.
No, we want to. The reason Brad and I sync is because of our schedules, and I would feel bad. I've always wanted to do something with you, Micah, and we have done little things we've always done little things like music together and stuff like that. But you're so consistent in what you put out, and you're an actual program. And if we were ever to attach ourselves to you, we would just bring you down because my schedule, I'm so inconsistent.
No, I mean, I don't
even one night. No, go ahead.
Well, I can just do what I do and then also join you guys and do that as well. It doesn't have to be. I mean, I hope I can post this on mine.
Oh man,
you guys use my videos without my permission. Well, I guess I give YouTube permission. So
that's true.
Can you give us Actually, we're going to need you to sign a DocuSign while we're live.
I'll come back.
What I'm saying is this is perfect. This is perfect because we're so, I want to get a little bit more formal with this because Brad, sometimes we're like, it's been a month and a half. We haven't done it. But then it's perfect for you to just join and talk because I think this has been great.
Yeah.
So the rapid fire, I just had some questions. We have some questions for you.
I didn't know this was coming.
No, well, did you know anything was we didn't prep you at all.
You sent me
that's Brad and
3 potential topics.
Ryan's like, don't worry about it. It'll be fine.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Yeah, I'm not worried.
Yeah. Who'd you vote for? Yeah. Don't worry about it. Nothing controversial. Well, first one is rapid fire, but also take some time on some of these as well. Like this first one I want to ask you is, what's one of your favorite books of the Bible, and why?
I would say Romans. I just went through Romans recently, and it was a book I was like terrified to read through because it was big and complicated, and Paul is wordy. But when I sat down and just went through it and just kind of bit the bullet, it was beautiful and very eye-opening. So probably Romans.
Cool.
I've heard that before. I haven't given the Romans. I've gone through Romans, but I haven't given the Romans kind of tedious, months-long study that it deserves. Because I've gone through it, and there's like 3 chapters in there, more towards the back half, that I've always been like, man, I don't really get this on surface level. I need to dive into it.
Mm-hmm.
So you're obviously
such a slow question.
You're pretty well read.
Just continuing
as I
on
compliment
right
you. What's your favorite non-biblical book?
Oh man, I think probably Lord of the Rings. It's kind of biblical. There's a lot of really good allegory in there, but Lord of the Rings is just way too good, way too well written. So I guess if that doesn't count, I could choose something else. But that's like peak storytelling.
I should try to read the book. I've only ever seen like parts of the movies. I should read the books. He's like throwing up in his mouth.
Yeah. How do you see part of the movie?
He's only seen Facebook reels of the movies.
Yeah,
I don't know. I never really...
Watching a movie is like the least effort you can put towards something. You sit there and it happens to you, and you're like, couldn't even do that. Like, I gave up.
Yeah.
Office reruns.
Yeah, read the book for sure.
All right, so we did a reaction to what is God's love language, one of your videos. This is kind of a triple-parter. We took guesses on your love language. That this episode hasn't dropped yet, so you don't know what we were
Did you drop a poll?
Guessing at. Yeah, we'll drop a
William
poll.
voted on
it. William, our
He's
fan.
our faithful follower.
We wanted to know, what is your love language, and what do you think Brad's is, and what do you think mine would be?
What's your guess? I bet you don't get it.
I think Ryan got it for you.
Not for myself.
Actually, I have two that are top. If you get,
we might have got these. Well, I mean,
you got to get both. Yeah, you got to get both.
So,
Brad, what did we say?
Ryan said he thinks you're acts of service, and then I said quality time. But then I kind of was flipping to Ryan's acts of service because I thought that sounded better.
Very interesting. I know.
To both?
Well, so I've always tested
so
physical touch, quality time.
What'd you say? Physical touch?
Physical touch, quality time. I've always tested like neck and neck.
Wow.
This is a little bit too much information. That's what we're here for. So I love physical touch, but I have this weird fear that I'm going to like the idea of subjecting someone to like, oh, I'm going to hug them. And they're like, I'm so uncomfortable with a hug. That makes me feel terrible. I hate the idea of someone being uncomfortable with a way I'm trying to show love.
Interesting.
So I am a little standoffish in person where I'm just like, people would look at me and be like, that guy does not want to be hugged. That guy does not want to be touched.
It's funny because I think in the episode we were like, probably not physical touch. Because, I would not have.
Yeah.
Interesting. Wow.
I would have pulled that as your least.
Yeah, no. I am
interesting.
Like, sometimes I'm like starved for it. I'm just like, please, like, sit near me. Or, okay.
Well, no. No. What's so interesting is I think this works into the podcast that we were saying, which was like, it's not always the one that you show, but it's the one that sometimes you need.
Right.
Yeah,
so I show gifts, words, and service way more than I show the other ones.
Interesting. Wow.
But I definitely desire quality time and physical touch a lot more. So yeah,
cool.
That's really weird.
Interesting.
I had so many jokes when you said you crave it. So I'm sorry. Let's just move on from that.
I walked into it. That's fine.
So what do you think Brad's is?
I think Brad's is physical touch. I do.
I need to take the test again. I told him, I was like, I'm not 100% sure. I've read
You
the
asked
book
me a
or
question
parts
that you
of
don't
it,
know the
but
answer to.
I told Ryan, I said, I think maybe words of affirmation.
No.
No?
That's wrong.
Okay.
I might be right. I have no idea.
I don't know. I have the book downstairs. It's in the book that you take the test, right? Towards the end, I think.
You could look it up on Google.
Or do it online,
for free,
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you seem like a
What about
physical touch
Ryan?
guy. You've always been very... But again, I'm perceiving that because of what you do. Like you hug a lot. You slap knees. You slap backs. Like you just kind of are near.
Yeah.
You're kind of just around.
Yeah.
And then
Our
Ryan...
basketball team was a crazy time.
Brad, that's a foul on me.
It was his outlet.
Your teammate. Ryan, you present words. Like I remember when you were moving away from Ohio, and it was like Tristan and I, our other friend, would like joke because you'd be like, "Well, gentlemen, as the crow flies in one easterly direction, we all must fly someday." But
I'm
never
not that
fear. Like we
well-spoken.
just, I don't know. You just
This
got
is why we
so
had Mike
poetic.
on.
Yeah, you just got
Maybe I do
so
like words.
poetic and so wordy. So I want to say your words of affirmation only because you utilize words a lot, but I think that's probably wrong because most of what we've just said you present, you're not. So I would guess maybe physical touch for you as well.
That's really interesting. I've never taken this. Never taken the survey.
I guess let me know in a week when you take it.
Brad and I were just guessing. Well, I really appreciated like acts of service. You know, like when you came down. I think I mentioned this in the pod, where when you came down and mowed our lawn.
Yeah.
When we were going through some stuff, I was like, that was like really. I remember that. That was really meaningful. But now that you said words, I do tend to light up when somebody says, I'm looking really cute or something like that. You know, I'm just all right.
All right, Micah, this is your turn. Make fun of him. He walked.
Yeah, hold on. I just said I crave physical touch, and you just said I light up when people call me really cute.
No, no, I'm just kidding about that one. But I do light up. Like I notice when like my boss or someone at work, if somebody's saying something nice, and I'm like, oh, that actually does feel good when they say that. So I don't know, Brad. We should do the test.
Yeah, we should.
I mean, the
figure
thing
it
is,
out
they're
for
all
ourselves.
the thing about that that's so important. I'm really new at all this stuff too. I'm just kind of learning about not just that, but other personality tests as well. I used to be very skeptical of them, but I'm seeing their merit for the first time. All of them, I think we should train ourselves to receive as love if we can, because it allows us to read love from other people where they're trying to deliver it. I follow these one guys on Instagram. It's like I don't know, like this guy, and actually I don't follow them. They just pop up on my algorithm a lot. But this guy and his wife is like she's got ADHD, anxiety, and stuff like that. And I just wanted to learn about people with anxiety and like figure out how they operate. And he's like, I love physical touch, and she hates it. And people were asking like, how do you deal with that? And he said, we just learn each other's language. Like you just have to learn. It's not about, oh, I'm like this, and so I can tell people, here's how to love me. It's I'm like this. Maybe I need to start recognizing other forms that I don't recognize as love, so that other people that are trying to love me, you know, it creates responsibility on both sides. But
I think that's what we talked about was, if I remember correctly, it's been a while since I read the book, but I think the author's intent was to make it outward focused. Because if you look at it between a husband and a wife, we had referenced, like, I think he used the analogy of a love tank. And so a lot of couples will struggle when they don't feel loved by the other spouse. And it's oftentimes because they're communicating the wrong love language, was his point in doing all of this, if I recall correctly. So yeah, it's outward focused. And then the hope is that your spouse then picks up on it and goes, oh, I know that Brad needs whatever it is, and then I'm going to try to do that, even if it's not my natural.
Right.
Maybe I'm not super good at giving gifts, which I'm not. But if that's what Amanda, really wants, is to receive gifts because it makes her feel like I'm thinking about her and caring about her, then I have to practice that. I have to exercise that muscle that I don't have.
So if
you'll finally give her the Amazon password, that's big of you.
You let her sleep inside the house for just once. Yeah, if she's doing that too, or she's focusing outwards and saying, okay, how is he trying to show me love, and how can I register it as love better? And you're trying to meet her where she's at and say, how does she register love, and can I do more of that? It's like, that's tough. So good.
Yeah.
Micah,
and Brad.
You're not wrong and you're not right, because we didn't vet ourselves on that one.
True.
So great job. You're right about yourself. We'll put it that way. Have you navigated a long distance relationship? Because we reacted to your long distance relationship one. So have you, are you, will you navigate a long distance relationship?
Yeah. I mean, in our church, like, it's kind of almost impossible not to, because the people we know and see at camp and stuff are just far away. I'm currently in a long distance relationship. I think that's the juicy goss you were trying to get at right now. So you got it.
See, get him. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what made me think about it, because like she'd visit and I was like, man, there's like so much pressure for everything to go so well all the time. Which was good. It's kind of fun, but also like, I don't know, does there need to be that pressure? So I don't know. That's kind of what first sparked that thought.
Wow. I love it. I love it, and I hope it's going well. And that's all we'll say about that. We'll keep on rapid firing. These ones should go a little bit faster. Who's your favorite Christian band of all time?
Oh, man.
Maybe not fast.
Well, okay. Yeah, I mean, Amberlin and Switchfoot have always been like my 1 and 2. Amberlin they're just different now. So like I think Switchfoot has to take the spot because they've just been doing it so much more consistently for so long. And they really lean into faith a little more than Amberlin ever has. So yeah, Brad can geek out about that for 40 to 50 minutes.
I'm trying so hard to withhold myself. Next question,
Right?
right?
A whole episode on just that.
Oh yeah.
Well,
maybe Micah, you and I should do a Switchfoot podcast. That would be so fun.
Yeah, Ryan, maybe if you could just log off.
Just leave, right?
Could I edit it?
No, we'll evangelize him. That's a nod to your latest episode.
5 Switchfoot songs.
You guys are acting like I don't like Switchfoot. I like Switchfoot.
Yeah, I guess.
I'm just more of a Lecrae guy. Come on.
Hey, they had Lecrae on a song.
I do like Lecrae. All right, I like Switchfoot too. So
Good answer.
yeah. So not going far away from that song. What's your favorite Christian song?
Oh man. So Chris Renzema or Renzema is like, he's so stinking good, and I've just found him like within the last year. And yeah, I don't know. There's just so many good ones by him. I think
There really are. He's a great songwriter.
the one that I end up going back to from him a lot is Holy Ghost, which is weird because it has nothing to do with my personal experience. It's like him coming out of a hyper charismatic church, but it's just so upbeat and good. So that one is really good. Also, Judah has some sweet songs, and Rend Collective. They're like all up there neck and neck. So I don't know. I can't pick favorite song right now, probably, but Holy Ghost from Chris Renzema is
the current.
That's a repeat for sure.
Great. Yeah, I think Brad, you could talk about that if you want, because I know you're big on. You're just withholding your energy
Really
because he said Switchfoot and Chris Renzema, and that's like
Well, so
your
real quick, I will keep it short. Chris Renzema is recent for me too. In fact, I think you maybe pointed to his music. I forget exactly if it was during a podcast or sermonette or something.
Claimed.
Yeah,
I did it.
And was it Narrow Road? I forget which one you had referenced, but you referenced one, and I started to look it up, and I was hooked. And so we've done like a couple of his for special musics, and him and John Foreman, I just marvel at their songwriting ability. Like the lyrics are so good, the melody is so good, but
I think what it is they take something ancient. You know, like John will write from straight out of the book of Jeremiah, you know? Like Jeremiah is writing about broken cisterns as like a metaphor for Israel, and I'm just like, yeah, I could read right past it, you know? Yeah. And John Foreman puts it in a song in a way that I'm just like, this is what it's been talking about this whole time. Yeah. And he takes some ancient, beautiful poetry and turns it into a real-life practical thing. And I think Chris Renzema does the same thing, almost slightly more modernized. Like he's unafraid to talk about like taking anxiety medication or not loving yourself enough. You know, it's just like he'll talk about very modern things.
That's a good
and
point.
I think that's what they do. They just take the Bible in all of its ancientness and are unafraid to bring it into the modern world and say, hey, this is still living and active. That's what I love about them.
But sometimes they use the same. Sometimes they use the exact same words in the scripture. Just kind of buttress it a little bit differently. Yeah. Terrible word to use right there, but then it's a beautiful, like just piece of art.
Yeah, putting it to music too.
It's the same words.
Like
put it to music. That's
so
right.
Shane and Shane is another group that I like, just because they've created so many different psalms, again straight out of the book of Psalms, and it's a lot of time word for word, and you're like, this is amazing. I know it's the English language, so it's it's different than source, but still, it's so cool.
Well, and
you're like, who wrote this?
They will try and adjust it. Like Sons of Korah also does that. They do all the Psalms, and they're good. I'm not saying anything bad about them, but like they will, when in doubt, they will not do like a modern reading of something. They'll stick pretty faithfully to like, this is what the text says, so this is how I'm going to say it. It's almost like John Foreman, Chris Renzema, and Shane will do like a paraphrased translation of the scriptures, whereas Sons of Korah do like a literary or like Young's literal translation. You know, it's like translation of the Bible, but like they just have different feels to them. Sure. None of them are wrong. But they're used for different things, and I just kind of prefer the what are they talking about, and how can you communicate that to me in an effective way? So that's why I gravitate towards those two. And Shane, they're good too.
Good question, Ryan. I like these. These are fun.
I want to get off the song question, but I'm curious. I think I know the answer to this first one. Has a song made you cry? And what's the song that's made you cry the most?
Yes. I don't know if a song has made me cry. I've been prone to crying, and I listened to a song that enhanced it. I'll say that.
Wow. See, this is why we pose as philosophers, but this man, ladies and gentlemen, can you see why we brought him on?
Line.
I don't get it. What happened?
That was brilliant.
It's just a nice line, first of all. Okay. But I'm dissecting it. You're already crying. You're walking over to the record player, fumbling through, you're still crying, and then you pull it out.
No, it's like
it's a little bit of chicken and the egg, right?
When you're feeling emotional, you crave something. You know, you crave either comfort or to be understood or to be heard in some way, and music does that. And so there will be times where I'm in a certain state, and it will just remind me of, man, that feels like this song, and I'll go to listen to it to be understood and to feel heard and to feel like I'm resonating with something. And often that will just be like, okay, it was actually too much, and then I'll cry. That it's happened like maybe 3 times. It's probably happened more than that actually, but 3 that are coming to mind. One with this song by Amber Lynn, Symphony of Blase, is just a breakup song, and I was going through emotional hurt, as I always was in my teen years, and so that one got me really good. Once the song "Worn" by 10th Avenue North,
that
one is really heavy and just very vulnerable, and I felt that at a time, and that one really got me.
Almost at,
And
I
then-
feel like, I was going to say, I feel like at any moment that one could be like, oh,
Yeah.
pull at the heartstrings. Sheesh.
There's also this song, this was actually more recent, so it's why I remember it, but there's one called Weep With Me by Rend Collective
Yeah.
that is really good because
You did a cover of
It's-
that. I remember that.
I did, yeah. It's kind
That's
of a
great.
prayer song, and he's just saying like, God, I'm crying out for you, and I need you to cry with me. Like, I need you to be here with me in the pain that I'm experiencing. And the conclusion of the chorus is that he knows that God weeps with him. And that's a really good one. I like that song a lot. So, yeah, those three. There's been probably some happier ones too that just brought a tear of like joy, but not full on tears.
I make fun of you, but I
That's fine.
completely relate. It's just because that's just something we do. But
Yeah.
I make fun of you, but I relate exactly to that experience where you feel like you're in that certain state. Or I mean, I remember when I first heard Narrow Road, I actually heard the Joshua Baldwin version, like just super acoustic. I think I was running and it like basically stopped me in my tracks. I don't know why or whatever. I do know why, but it just kind of stopped me, and I was just like, man, it just hit me. You said it'd be a narrow road, so why am I surprised when it feels like I'm all alone?
Yeah.
It's just like,
Isn't
Yeah.
music amazing? Just
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
cool the way that it can speak to you at certain moments.
Dude, and
Yeah.
there are, again, I know you want to move off the music thing, but there is like, I have people come to me all the time just about whether it's a biblical topic or something they're experiencing. I think it's my high cheekbones. They feel like they can trust me. I think that's an Office reference.
I think
so,
yeah.
too,
It's definitely Dwight said that. It might have been,
But,
yeah,
I have
great.
people come to me and they'll ask me, like, what do I do about this or that situation? I'm just like, dude, I have no idea. But the one thing I try to encourage people to do, for anybody that might be listening to this, I sincerely think that music as spiritual weaponry is severely underutilized. Like, time and time again throughout the Bible, I mean, there's this one story where, like, Israel's being attacked, they're going to war, and God's like, bring me the choir. And you're just like, what? And he's like, yeah, the choir. They're like, no, we got to have the spearmen up front. And God's like, bring the choir. And he puts them in front of the
That's so
army.
cool,
And they're like
though, yeah.
marching, and you're just like, why? And I think it's because he's driving out spiritual wickedness before he's driving out
Wow.
the physical, aggressors. And Paul, he's in prison, and we think, wow, it's cool that he was so unbothered by his prison experience that he could sing in prison. It's like, no, I think he's singing in prison because he's bothered. I think there's something about the act of worship in struggle that just fights whatever the thing is you're dealing with. And so many times I've underestimated that, but like let's say I'm close to sin or close to negative thinking or distress of some kind, and songs will just pop into my head. And I just go back to that verse where it says the Holy Spirit will bring to remembrance, in the time that you need it. And I think it's because I've implanted the music there that the Holy Spirit can do that. So there's no doubt that that's what's going on. It's using one of its most prime spiritual weapons to fight against the thing that I need to fight against and don't know how. And often the song will just be like, where that one? And I'll go and listen to it, and I'm like, of course that one. It's like exactly the thing I'm going through right now. And it's pretty amazing. So
Yeah.
more people need to like think about using that as the weapon it was meant to be used for.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. I've never heard
beautifully
that before.
said.
That's cool.
Speaking of, we've referenced Lord of the Rings. Speaking of Lord of the Rings, we are rivaling. I can't even say that. We're coming up on one of their movie lengths right now. We've been going at it for
Almost
2.5
hours. Yeah. It's been so good.
2 hours or so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
It's been so good.
Yeah. That was not a clear segue. We've been going at it for a while. That's what I've been trying to say. So that was all my rapid fire. Actually, you know what, Brad? We got to just name that not so rapid fire questions because
Yeah,
that was
a couple of them
that
were
was great. We
rapid.
got some good,
But no,
Yeah.
I enjoyed that a lot. It was fun answers.
not so rapid.
Fun to get to questions that, even though we've known you for a long time, still more to get to know, which is cool.
Yeah. It's been a minute since we've all hung out anyways, too.
Yeah.
So, like, it's kind of fun to do it like this.
Yeah, for sure.
We got to get our hands on you now that we know that you love it.
He was sitting on that for a while.
Mold you like the clay that you are.
All
All right.
And with that,
Could I ask one final
We're gonna-
question?
go ahead before we vibe out to Jake.
Do you
Jake's
want to
outro.
show him
that's great.
the gang sign? Do you want to
Wait,
show
what?
him the gang sign?
Yeah, let's see it.
I don't know why I did this. We did an intro before you went on, and
Hashtag?
I was trying to.
It was
Oh,
good.
that's how
Yeah,
they do
it was
Yeah,
good. I just
that's right.
didn't know what was
Yeah.
happening. All right, sorry.
Yeah.
Outside of your podcast, what are some of the things you're up to now? So at one point, if I remember correctly, you were potentially going to school for counseling. I don't know if that played itself out or if you're still in it. Like, what's going on outside of that?
Yeah, I'm currently at Liberty University doing counseling. Like a master's degree in
Are
counseling.
you giving or taking? Okay, sorry. It's a bad joke. It's getting late. Go ahead.
No, yeah,
Go
I'm
ahead.
taking classes in counseling. Yeah, clinical mental health counseling. Yep, that's what I'm doing.
Okay, cool. That's awesome. How much
Liberty
longer do you
U.
have left at that?
Liberty University.
Liberty, liberty, liberty. Nice. So it's a master's
Yeah,
program?
it's a master's program. I have 4 semesters left,
Okay.
including summer. So, still a little bit.
Will that make...
That will make
is that
me
like a
counselor.
Oh, yeah, that makes so much sense.
Boy, it is getting late.
Yeah. No, it's like I wanted to do Christian counseling, and they're a Christian school with an emphasis on faith. So, but the accreditation is just clinical and mental health counseling. So I'll just be a counselor. I'll just have a master's degree in counseling.
Cool.
Yeah, I think you'll do... We know you. Obviously, I think you'll do great at that.
I hope
Yeah.
so. Yeah. Someone told me at church the other day, they're like, "Yeah, you're really good at that. You're like kind of hard on people." And I was like, "Oh." But they meant it as a compliment. They're like, "You could do like your business could be called like Tough Love Counseling." I'm like, "I actually love that because like I don't there's some things about counseling that are just a little bit like know your truth, feel your pain, live it out into the world." And I'm just like, that's not me. Like I do want to care about people's pain and be sensitive to it, but yeah, I'm not much of a coddler, I don't think. So,
No, you're the type of guy that gets your hands on people.
yeah. Counseling with a side of massage just for me.
No, that's awesome, Micah. Best of luck. 4 semesters, so is that
2 years.
a year?
A year and a semester.
Oh, okay.
I'll be calling you up for help.
Okay. Brad, you didn't say that, but you could use it, buddy.
I could use it. Thanks for coming on,
See,
Micah.
it's so hard. It's so hard to be mean to you. Brad's like,
Never
"You're
again."
right.
You do it a lot.
Oh yeah, thanks for having me. This is super fun.
Yeah.
Sorry we went for like a long time. Good luck editing.
It's all good.
See you guys next week.
It's all good. I don't have a job. So thanks. Yeah, thank you, Micah. And Brad, do you have anything to say in the outro?
No. I really don't.
All right. Take it away, Jake.
See you guys in every
Take it away, Jake.